Friendship. We know how important it is, but also especially if you're like me and, well, you've outgrown your teenage years, you know the effect of losing friends. I'd say with me at least, and you might feel this as well, but having lost friends from school and college, I do know how it feels to be lonely in your 20s, which you might as well if you're watching this video. The idea of friendship feels much more complicated these days, and you may very easily ask yourself, well, where did everyone go? And the answer, well, I don't know, and it's not easy for me to say either. I mean, sure, I can say it's the transition from school and college to being an adult out in the world, having a job, working, you name it, but you can still meet people from there, right? Well, honestly, I thought maybe you can, but sometimes I think you can't. It's not as easy as when we once had it back in school. It was a lot easier, you were probably less awkward, you had less to worry about, you might be less insecure as well back then. So things obviously back then in general seemed a lot easier to deal with, and it's very easy to become friends, especially when you're younger, compared to your adult years. I mean, it's just fact, think about it, when you made friends back in school, how did you make a friend? A lot of the time you'd see them at the sandpit, or you'd see them at the playground, and you would often just say hello, and then you would just say, my name is, or you'd just be like, hey, look at this toy I have, or something else along these lines, and then you become best friends instantly. That's how it was, obviously, as kids, we all know that. And of course, as an adult, you're not going to be able to do this. But I can say as well, with someone who does not have many friends now, well into my 20s, I don't really know how to make friends myself that well. Modern friendship kind of sucks, especially in this day and age where people seem less connected than ever. In general these days, I find friendships, relationships, etc. are suffering as much when it comes to connection. I, for example, work a remote job, so it's pretty hard for me to meet people, and I believe us as people long for connection more than ever now due to the internet. And I must say, from the people I've spoken to, the experiences I've had with people in general seem more lonely and more disconnected than ever. But how can this be, right? We live in the social media age. Well, to be honest, I find the truth is most of us are performing a friendship online especially, and it's harder to make friends these days. But I keep trying to think to myself, how would I make more friends, especially now, being in my 20s? It's not as easy as it once was, obviously being a child. Now being in my 20s, how do I do this? You might be wondering that as well. And while I don't have a direct answer for your case, I don't personally know you listening to this right now, but I guess I can give you a rough idea of what may help you. For me, I'm trying to branch out with my hobbies and things I can go and do in person. For example, I have a friend at the moment who's taking up boxing, so I'm thinking to myself, why can't I do something similar or a similar hobby where you can also meet multiple like-minded people as well, and as well as that, it gives you something to talk about. So if there's anything you've ever been interested in and you'd like to get to know more about, especially some course in person, that would be even better, because then you can actually establish a real connection with real people. Making friends online is nice and all, but there's no substitute for human connection in person. And a lot of the time, if you are like one of these people who I used to be especially as well, if you are trying to stand out in the online world and be able to make more friends that way, simply because you may not know how to, especially in person, you may feel like when you are in a Discord group of friends or some chat room or something else along these lines, you are going to be the one having to perform a lot more compared to other people because you want to make a good impression and hopefully come away from that conversation with a new friend or two. We always try to be the funny one or the helpful one or the one who's always down for whatever, shall we say, because a lot of the time we want to be convenient and we want to seem accessible to people, because that is appealing to a lot of people. Accessibility and being there, but don't get confused, that isn't always a good thing in itself. Being there, especially for loved ones and friends you care about, is important, but also by being constantly accessible to all, you cannot be accessible to anyone. You can't please everyone in the world, especially if you have a lot of friends by the end of this. You cannot always please people. And sometimes it's hard to say no, but you have to, for your own sake. Alone time is important as much as it is being with others as well. Everyone is sitting behind their own screen feeling, I'd say, exactly as you are. A lot of people, especially watching this video, might be feeling like that as well. It's sometimes hard to make the first connection with someone as well. This is something that I've definitely noticed myself recently as well. It's really hard to put yourself out there, well, because of rejection. You don't want to be rejected, although typically you hear about it with relationships, trying to get a new girlfriend, boyfriend, you name it. But honestly, a lot of the time I find myself trying to be friends with someone, you have to take the first step. A lot of the time these days, most people find that checking in with friends might actually become more of a chore than a joy, because a lot of the time we've made it too formal and it's not as easy easy or feels as nice to do as you once did back in the day with actually checking how your friends are and trying to hang out with them. To be honest, one of the tests that I do with people that when I start to become good friends with them is, say you're in a call with someone or you're just hanging out with someone, can you actually just sit with that person and not talk for a while? Can you just sit there and say enjoy each other's company, not have to do anything to perform or be interesting? Because I can tell you, if you can do that, you've won. And you've actually got a friend. Something else I notice as well is that most people are typically just trapped in their own heads these days, and a lot of the time we don't really talk about what's really bothering us or whatever's going on in our lives. Especially if you have an online friend, you might just speak about basic things, talk about the game itself, and it's actually hard to make a real connection when doing these things. But I implore you, if given the chance, do go outside, do find people that you can actually connect with. Like I said, find a hobby or something else along these lines. I mean, there are definitely things you enjoy. Just figure out a way to translate that into real life, like I said, whether it's like a club or there's a hobby, something you can go out and do perhaps with family or friends you might already have, or potentially just by yourself even. And a lot of the time people seem to think that you need a long list of friends, when realistically you only need one actual good friend, especially someone who listens to you, because 10 of those friends who will just play games and talk a bit more on the basic side about life, it's not really comparable to someone who genuinely listens to your hopes, dreams, your worries, and actually gives you the time of day. And a lot of the time, I don't know if you've done it, I most certainly have, as I use things just like saying lol when responding to messages to convey how I feel, but it's not actually talking about what I really think about certain things that people say or how I actually feel. It's an effective shield, using things like this. And honestly, being vulnerable is very important in friendship, I find. Actually telling people how you feel. I'm not saying you need to go and cry in front of your friends or they need to do that with you, but honestly, you will find with being vulnerable with your friends, it's not only a nice feeling to be able to talk about what you really want to talk about and not having to put up a shield of any kind, but they're also going to appreciate the fact that you can confide in them. That's what separates having acquaintances and also real friends. As well as that, consistency matters more than anything else. Being able to talk a lot is very important. I'm not saying you have to talk every day, go on calls and all these things, or hang out in person every day, but I am saying having a consistent time spent together, doing things, spending quality time, bonding, you name it. It is all incredibly important to maintaining a solid and fruitful relationship or friendship. In this case of friendship, I would say you do need to hang out with people regularly, because if you don't, you'll find that they're going to become an acquaintance very fast. So again, if you can take anything away from this video, I do recommend that you find, even if it was just one good friend, one good friend is all you need. And bear in mind, I don't have many friends, but I do have a few people in my life who I can call good friends. And if I really needed them, I know they'd be there. Again, it's not about having to say something like, I will always be there, but it's knowing that you're on such good terms with someone, you know that they would do anything to help you if they could. And again, that's what having a real friend feels like. Being able to confide, not having to worry about being on your own if you're worried about something or you've just got worries in general and need someone to speak to. That's what separates acquaintances and friends. I've definitely had acquaintances who I thought were friends, like a lot of them, especially when I was younger, going out partying, you name it, drinking, and you find out very fast that these people are only there for the good time. They're not necessarily there for you. They just want people to hang out with so they can do these other things with, these other hobbies, but they don't really care about you as a person. And say if you had a breakdown or you're feeling very sad, they probably wouldn't be there. And those are the people that we want to try and avoid. But instead, be on the lookout for someone who is actually listening to what you say, seemingly cares about what you have to say. And if you're feeling sad or feeling good, they actually take that into account. And also, on top of that, regularly ask how you are. Because obviously, if someone's asking how you are, they are genuinely interested in you and want to help you if you're having a bad day, that is. Or if you're having a good day, they might often want to know why. What's changed in your day that has made you feel better than normal? Because to be honest, a good friend in that situation might actually want to replicate it and be able to help you achieve more better days. A real friend is going to want to help you and actually improve your life, not take away from it or use you for another nefarious reason of any kind. Real friends are here to stay, not just for a good time, but for the bad times, and be able to help you where possible. So while I feel I've yapped a bit today, I hope you can take away from this video that it is very important to have friends and people in your life like that you can rely on, have a good time with, feel comfortable to talk about certain things with, and also what a feeling it is just to feel like someone's got your back if need be. I've been Haven. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any opinions about this, please let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments. I'm going to be checking the comments, especially after the video goes out and for the first few days as well. This is a subject I'm really passionate about, and I would absolutely love to hear more about how you feel on the subject, like I said. So thank you for watching, have an amazing day, and take care of yourself. Thank you.